did that actually happen to me?
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And you also, when we talked about earlier today, is they're very strategic in
Oh,
who they look
very.
for, right? Like what's some of the
Yes.
ploys, what's some of the tools that they use to target these people, men and women alike?
Well, most of the time it is compliments. They will shower what they perceive to be a lonely person or a vulnerable, and they will shower them with compliments. They will pretend, again, with a future faker, they'll pretend that they want a future with a person. And somebody who is just freshly alone is like fresh bait to them. And so they often use that. They'll tell a woman who is uh, very hardy and maybe not super attractive, you are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. You are have such a great character. You are this, you are that. And so they'll flatter. Their flattery is a huge tool, promising the future, promising I want to be with you. I can't wait till we're together. That's another one. And I would say those are the two top ploys that they use. And they use, I'm going to take you here and there. The future faker from last January, we spent many Sunday afternoons watching YouTube videos for a trip to Italy. Hey, I'm half Italian. What, you think that's going to appeal to me? Yeah. And he asked specifically if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be? I have a feeling he does that to all of his targets. And then there's a pattern that they do. But the the promise of we're going to take this fabulous trip, I'm going to plan it all. And to someone who's been single for 23 years, for a man to plan it all and do it, that kind of sounds good.
Yeah, I could imagine a life where no one has told me that I'm attractive. No one has told me that I'm a nice person. And here comes this, because they usually are attractive enough, right? Here comes this good-looking woman, and she's like, Terrain, you look really good today. I like the way that outfit just complements your eyes or your smile.
Yes.
And you start to feel a little bit good. And then all of a sudden, you start to see this person more and more, and you're like, is this a coincidence, or is this maybe the universe delivering to me what I always wanted? Because I think that's probably why so many people get wrapped up or get caught up so quickly, because it's something that they wanted, but not necessarily from that person, but someone in a healthy way. Is that part of the trap too? Because we want it, maybe not from that person, but it's like a drug and we want more, and it feels so good.
Yes, and I'm looking at the title of your podcast behind you, Behind the Shades. And that just sticks out to me because that's exactly, and I know your podcast is a different meaning, but they hide behind shades. They hide behind this facade of flattery and promises to get what they want. And it's ultimately to get what they want. That's the whole end game. And what they want normally is money. Sometimes, though, they just want someone to say, I love you. They want to hear it from multiple women and or men, I love you, I love you, I love you. For a man to have a, that's maybe middle-aged, maybe a little balding back there, just a regular guy, and to have this drop dead gorgeous bombshell telling you they love you, don't tell me that's not a draw for a man. That, as it is for women. So that's it's they hide behind the shades of these things, these promises.
And I wonder how many of these people are narcissistic in a way, and the abuse that they're unleashing on some of these people, or the chaos that they're bringing to their lives, is like boosting their ego in a way. Like, look at me. I have Michelle over here. I have Claire down there. I have Joanne up the street. You begin to collect all these women and men like they're trophies, like they're rings, like they're an accomplishment, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm going to take you here, but you're paying for it. I'm going to go on this road trip, but you're financing it. It's like, it's like they don't realize that the dream that they're being sold, they're the ones who are actually financing the dream. Does that happen as well?
That does happen a lot. Sometimes the future fakers will, like the one I had, will say, you don't have to lift a dime. I will pay for everything. So sometimes, and at first, they will do that. But most of the time, as you're saying, it's to, yes, we're going to go here and go there. And, oh, I lost my credit card. Oh, whoops, I was transferring money and it got lost in the stratosphere. Can you front me the money? And, and it's all downhill from there. But you go online, go on YouTube, go on any of the websites and just do a little research. And it happens every day that women, and we might have talked about this the first episode, but women are giving away their fortunes, their inheritances, I guess, their the life insurance that they got from their husband. And now an 80-year-old is forced to work at McDonald's because she doesn't have any money because she gave it away for the promise. So yes, a lot of them, if not most, if not all, are narcissistic in nature because it's all about them, but they make it appear it's all about you.
There was someone, I have a dog and I walk my dog in my neighborhood. And there is, in my neighborhood, there's about three streets. And there's one street, I'm not going to name it because I don't want to expose these people.
Yes. So,
Right? Yeah, please don't, right? They'll be like, oh my God, Terry, what are you doing? I'm still trying to recover. But there are a number of divorced women. They're older, right? And it appears like anytime you have small talk, like you normally do from your neighbors, right? Like it seems like maybe the marriages didn't end in the best of ways, but they have the house and everyone has moved on.
yeah.
So there's times where some of the men in the neighborhood, they would see the interaction, and then when I would speak to them, they would be like, "Oh man, maybe I should get a dog," because they're thinking it's a way to start speaking to these women, even though many of them are married and whatever, right? So me now putting on my my relationship mentor cap, I'm like, okay, what do you mean? Because I'm now trying to understand, right? And they're like, well, if you, it seems like it's a way to start having these conversations with these women, and maybe it can lead to more. Then you can get all these things and stuff like that because it looks like they have money. Because they're looking at the house and they automatically think big house, big money, right?
Yeah.
So now I look back as I'm telling this, and I'm like, these are the early signs of you looking to abuse someone. And I don't think these men noticed it. Because they're looking at it as I can use this to get this because I'm taking from the person. But when you break it down like that, it is abuse because you're using the person, you're misleading them, and you have a whole nother family that you're going to be lying to and all this other stuff, right? So, based on your experiences, could it be possibly that sometimes it starts off as I'm just going to get something small out of this person, and then it grows and it grows to the point where they're paying for the Airbnb, they're paying for my credit cards, they're paying for my rent, they're paying for my mortgage. And then the person, the abuser now, gets so caught up with the thrill of all this free stuff, then they can't stop because they're truly addicted.
That is such a good point. And your observation about the neighborhood and the men asking you, maybe I should, telling you, maybe I should get a dog, reveals a lot. Reveals a lot. And you're insightful, so you would pick up on that where maybe another person would not. But it's kind of like what you described is the classic, how do you boil a frog? You put them in cold water and you slowly turn up the heat until the frog boils alive. And that's the best analogy I can give is that, yes, and intentionally, most of the time, they do start with something small. An online predator or just a romance predator will start with something small, build, 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 build. And it might be as simple as you're in a restaurant, as happened to me with the very first online hustler was that we went to sushi and he's, crying, real tears pouring down his face, how much he loved me and how blah, 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 how lucky he was. And so, but then he didn't bring his credit card or it didn't work when we went to check out. Guess who footed that meal?